Everything in your life, whether good or bad, is there because you have allowed it in your life. And on today's video, we're going to talk about that. Have you ever found yourself in a place where you're saying, man, I'm stupid? Or maybe you're saying, I'll never get that business off the ground. Or maybe you'll say, I'll never have the money to accomplish my dreams. Or if you're in this really dark place saying, I'm never going to trust anyone again. If you find yourself saying any of these, whether you say you're stupid or you can't or you don't never going to trust, if you find yourself in a place where these are the words out of your mouth, then I want to tell you, friend, that out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. So therefore, what's coming out of your mouth is what's really inside of you. Now, I know we want to disagree with that and say, no, I'm a really good person and I really believe high, but I'm going to tell you, what you speak is an indication of what's inside of you. And what you speak is going to be the proof of what you're going to accomplish. And the level of accomplishment is always proportionate to the level of agreement we have in our hearts. Because our hearts is this place where everything grows out of it. And if we agree with something in our hearts, there's a power of agreement. And when we agree, it's produced. So if you want something produced in your life, then agree with it. But I'm not talking mental assent. I'm talking that you get down deep and your heart, your being, your fiber of who you are says, this is what I'm agreeing with. The truth behind all of this is that you say I'm stupid and you say that I can't, or you say I'll never trust, is because somewhere along the line, the trauma, the pain, whatever you went through, your heart began to agree with that, and you began to rehearse out of the abundance of the mouth, the heart speaks. You began to rehearse what was inside that you started to agree with. Did you initially want to agree with that? No, because you're a beautiful gift. You have amazing talents, but because of the pain, because of the life that you've lived, somewhere your agreement became, I will never, or I can never. And that moment is where you put the limit on your career. You put the limit on your destiny. You put the anchor in your life. There's an old Jewish proverb that says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. I love this particular proverb because it has so much meaning. Guard, protect your heart, the center of who you are, with all diligence. Don't stop, because out of it flows the issues of life. And I started this video with that statement you have in your life because you've allowed it there. That is where it all comes from, because everything flows from the inside out, and you have agreed with it, and because you haven't guarded a place that was sacred. That sacred space, that sacred part of you needs to be guarded every day with all diligence, for out of it flows every issue of your life. So what does it really mean to come into agreement with? We get out into these whole statements and everybody's out there like, yo, come into agreement with this, and I'm coming into agreement, I don't agree with this. What does that really even mean? As a Christian, I go into the biblical definitions of things and kind of get digging in there. And one of the things that I found is this word agreement means to harmonize. Think about that. When you come into agreement with something, your soul, your body, your spirit harmonizes with the thing you're in agreement with. And anything in harmony is in alignment. Anything in alignment is what happens in your life. So when you feel out of alignment, when you feel out of this place where you're not in agreement with something, your life feels chaotic. Have you ever been there where you just can't figure things out and you're just like trying to go, ugh? That is a place where your heart is not in alignment. And when your heart becomes harmonized, it begins to produce whatever you harmonize with. So the first thing we really have to get into a place is understanding, what are you harmonizing with? If you're harmonizing with that old trauma, then it's trauma you're going to produce in your life. If you're harmonizing with that old person who hurt you, then it's mistrust you're going to produce. If you're harmonizing with love, with truth, with understanding, then guess what's going to be produced in your life? Because ultimately, words have power. And there's another old Jewish proverb that says, the power of life and death is in the tongue. So just think about that. Think about the profoundness of that you have the power to speak life and you have the power to speak death. So if you put this all together, if you understand this, if out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, because our heart became into an agreement with something that entered into our lives because we didn't guard our life. So therefore, what entered into our hearts began to manifest or produce in our lives because we began to come into agreement with it. Your words will dictate or influence what you agree with. So if I sit there and say, I love this, and I say those things, and I think about those things, and I meditate on those things, and my heart becomes to harmonize with those things, then therefore I begin to love the thing that I said. Now, if I go on the opposite say, and I'm always like, I'm stupid, I can't do this, I can't do that, and my heart begins to harmonize, my words begin to speak, and I begin to rehearse the things, my ears hear that, it goes into my heart because I haven't guarded it. So guess what? On the other side of those words is death. What do I mean? You put limiting beliefs and you put an anchor on your life because you can no longer access your potential because your potential's locked up in your words, and your words said that you were never good enough. And I want to come in today and just share with you that you are good enough. You are worth it. You do have something inside of you that the world needs. But if you're going to go around saying how unworthy you are, how much you suck, or how much that there's a place where you're just not enough, then guess what's going to harmonize in your life is those words. And you will be constantly stuck in a circle or a cycle that puts you back to a place that every moment you get successful, you bounce back 3 inches. Today, I just want to give you a few things that I know if you start doing, that it's going to change your life. And the first thing is we've got to think differently. Now, I know this is hard because some of us are overthinkers. Now, you can watch my video on overthinking because we get stuck in the paralysis of the analysis. We overthink until it dies, and then we overthink some more. And we get stuck in these places. But here's the deal. If we begin to think differently, we will begin to speak differently. When we begin to speak differently, we begin to act differently. And so it all starts with our thoughts. If you want to go to a different place, we need to think at a different level. I think it was Albert Einstein that says you can't solve the problem at the same level you thought to create it. You've got to go to a different level. So you've got to start thinking differently. Get somebody in your life to catch those things. So when you say I'm stupid, let somebody call you out on that. No, you're not stupid. When you say I don't trust anybody, you get somebody to call that out on you. Yes, you do trust somebody, and you digress and you talk about those things. Then the second thing we get into is we've got to start speaking differently. Because if our thoughts are one, what's out of our thoughts becomes out of our mouth at some point. So we need to begin to change the way we speak. So instead of saying I'm stupid, maybe you say I just don't know the answer to this problem. Instead of saying I don't trust anyone, maybe you start saying I can find trust in someone, or maybe I can trust this person a little bit and I know I can grow. Learn to speak differently, because where your words go, life goes. Where your words go, death goes. And you get to choose what area you want to live in and what area your heart and soul harmonize with. Then we got to act differently. Listen, if you were acting a certain way and you're doing it over and over and over, guess what? You can never change when your actions are the same. So if you want to be different, if you want to do differently, then you've got to act differently. Because ultimately, we've got to believe differently. Because if we're going to believe differently, belief is found in what you harmonize with. Belief is found in what you agree with. So therefore, if I agree that my life is on a trajectory to impact millions of people, then that's what I've got to speak. That's what I've got to do. That's what I've got to challenge myself to come to that level that I'm going to speak life over that dream. I'm going to act accordingly to that dream. I'm going to think according to that dream so that I could become the person capable of carrying that dream. And that's where I want you, my friends, is to be able to bring forth a dream that's in your heart. And I believe in you. I believe in the ability for you to make a difference. But do you believe it? Let me know in the comments. What are you struggling with? What are some limiting beliefs that you want to get over? And then with that being said, take a moment and hit on to the next video, and I'm going to see you there.